So welcome everyone. I am Stefania Bartolomei, an Italian London-based personal style coach, founder of One of a Style. During this lockdown, I have dedicated myself to helping people to boost their confidence, even if not in person. I did it with a series of talk where I try to support and motivate and also inspire them, facing different topics with different experts. Now, the reason we are here today, I guess, is because all of you are either business owners and entrepreneurs, and Marianne and I, are entrepreneurs ourselves. And I think that as bad as this situation is and challenging or whatever, it is really good to try to turn it into an opportunity. So from the business front, we can really take the occasion to slow down and also rethink about our brand, what are the values of our brand. And it's also good to think about our personal style and our professional image. Because I really believe that when the lockdown is going to be over, that is the situation, the moment to really go there, try to win over competitor, try to really make the best impression. And I was telling before in private to Marianne, I don't know about you, but after 2 months, I really feel like I want to renew. I have this feeling that I want to renew once the lockdown is going to be over. And so this can happen from a personal style point of view, but also from a brand point of view. And because the first impressions count, we are here to help you understand how to make your first impression really count. Whenever you have to meet a potential client or also potential collaborators, this is your occasion. So we are going to share with you our best tips and tricks. And that's it. I don't know, Marianne, if you want to introduce yourself and maybe start with your first tip.
Great. Well, thanks, Stefania, for inviting me on your talk. I'm Marianne Hartley. I'm the founder of Hartley Soul branding and design agency. We create irresistible brands for companies and individuals who want a brand that really connects to the heart. And I've been in branding for 25 years, and I launched Hartley Soul 7 years ago, really to bring two of my passions together: healing and design. So, because I believe that everything around us has an impact on how we feel, and your brand is the core of your business, and people connect to it intuitively or not. And so we're going to talk about how you can stand out and how people connect with your brand and also with your personal style.
Do you want to start with your first tip?
Yeah. So I think one of the most important things in your brand is that your authenticity comes through. So it's about being authentically you. You want your brand to be a true reflection of who you are and the values that you hold. And also, before I do any designs with my clients, I do a brand alignment day where I ask a lot of questions to really get to the heart and the essence of what they stand for, but what the business stands for as well, and to connect to the big vision. You know, it's the vision beyond money, beyond success. It's right, the reason why the business exists and the reason why you get up in the morning to do what you do. So really defining the values and what drives you and your business, because your personal values will automatically be aligned with your business values, because if they're not, you'll always feel a little bit out of sync, or you'll feel like you're forcing something. But when your personal values are aligned with your business values, then everything flows. You can show up as who you are, and people buy from people. People connect to businesses and brands that they love because they feel a connection with the founder and with the person that's running the business. And of course, you also need to provide a great service, but that goes without saying. When there's 10 people offering a fantastic service, you'll choose the one person or business that you feel the most connection with, or that you feel, yes, you know, you feel drawn to that person and that business. So defining your values is the foundation of any brand. And in this period, you know, you can ask yourself the questions, you know, what are the core values that I stand by? What are the core values that are part of my business? What do I stand for? What am I here? What difference am I here to make in the world? So this is part really of the foundation before you create any designs, getting clear on what your values are and your vision and your raison d'être, which is, you know, your reason for being as well.
Great, Marianne, great. And I totally agree. Behind a brand, behind a business, there is a person. So I believe even nowadays, where everyone, for example, is online with videos, it's great for people really know who you are, who is the person behind the brand and behind the business. And that is the key to make people, to attract the right people also to you, I guess. And authenticity is also very important, and if not necessary, when it's about your professional and personal style. As in fact, as a personal stylist, when I work with a client, I take in account many factors. So their job, their physical features, but also their personality, which is, you know, really a key factor to make me decide what to go for the client. Because you can wear a suit and look professional, but as Marianne was saying before, there are maybe hundreds of people that offer the same service and the same offer that you do. But how can you stand out of the crowd? Your personality is the key point. It's not your body. It can be your job and the offer, but is your personality really the key point? So another important, very important tip, when you think about your personal style, and in this case, your professional image, always try to highlight your personality. So instead of, you need to focus about obviously the right message. We are talking about this later on, but also always try to think what you wear. Is it really representing you? Are you feeling confident in what you are wearing? The moment you go into a meeting, you need to feel confident. So doesn't matter if what you wear is super fashionable or super trendy or fits you amazingly well if you don't feel confident in it. So I think this is my greatest tip today, my first and greatest tip maybe today.
Yeah, I agree. And feeling, I think when you feel at ease, you also feel naturally confident. And if you're feeling relaxed and confident, people will feel that around you, and they'll feel like they can connect. When we're uncomfortable and when something doesn't feel quite right, other people pick that up as well. So it's sort of, you know, it's a non-verbal communication that we give across, and clothes, obviously, when we feel at ease, really help to make the connection as well with our clients.
Exactly. And also I think we are not going, it's not possible to make everybody love our style or love our services or love the way we are. But if we show who we really are, we are going to attract the right people. We are going to attract the people that are really going to love us, our style, our way to work, our way to be, and we are just going to love working with them in return. So
exactly. And that actually leads me beautifully onto the second point, because it's true, you don't want to be attracting everybody. You don't want to work with everyone. Firstly, you wouldn't have the capacity, even if you had thousands of employees. But you do want to work with people who are feeling aligned with you. So the second point is really being very clear on who your target audience is. So who do you love working with? Who do you have the solution? Who has a problem for whom you have the solution? So I often recommend my clients either create like an ideal client avatar. You can do that with a mood board, you know, literally cutting out image. If you're a visual person, you know, cut out pictures of your ideal clients, what they do, where they where they like to go, what sort of holidays they have. Like, the more information you have about your ideal client, it's like every bit of communication that you will do, you can target it, you can tailor it to this specific person, whether imaginary, it might be somebody, it might actually be a client you've already worked with, and then you describe that client, why was it so good to work with him or her, and what did you do for them, and how what was their problem, and what solution did you create, and how was the whole journey, and what do they love doing, and what was your connection with them, and what was your relationship like. So all this key information are really important to define who you love working with, and who you also write for. So because when your brand is authentically you, and you're very clear on who you're here to communicate and to work with, you can tailor all your communication to fit that specific, that you can create text around how you solve a problem, and what sort of problems that your target client has, and then you can describe the solution. And it's like you really create an environment where your target client can recognize themselves in. So that is a really, really important second point.
Thank you. Very important. And talking about target clients and target audience, I think this is coming my second tip. Color is a very important tool. Obviously, in the personal styling world, we can use color in very different ways. I do offer, for example, color analysis. So when someone wants to know what are the best colors that work for them, we can just do this. And this is working more on the personal style side of it. But when it's about personal branding or professional image, there are many other things to say about color. And the first of all is that color really has hidden meanings. So we should be a bit conscious about it as business owners. We, most of the time, and most of us are not conscious about the meanings of colors. But it is true that colors send some messages, some inputs to our brain, and evoke some feelings. Just think about the colors that we choose for baby rooms, right? I think nobody's going to choose very bright colors because it is associated with the sleep, bad sleep. So if we use bright colors, babies are not going to sleep well. If we use pastel colors, very soft, very delicate, they do. There is a reason why there is this science. It's a science, right? So this is going to happen even with clothes. When you meet somebody, and also when you choose the colors of your logo, you really need to be conscious about the meanings of the specific colors you are going to choose. I think the best thing to do now is to make some examples. So would you like to share our examples, Marianne? Because we, for example, have very different logos and colors. Yeah. So I think it's going to be ideal. If you agree with it.
Yeah, sure. Shall I talk about yours? And then you talk about, okay. So for example, Stefania's brand is one of a style, and it's very elegant. It's black and white, and I didn't design it, so I'm not sort of, it's not, but it's a very clean, and there's something refined in the font, but because of the use of the black and white, so there's mainly white around her logo. There's just the font is in black. It makes it gender neutral. So, obviously she's a woman. She could be wanting to just work with women, but she doesn't. She works with men and with women in professional as environments. So the cleanliness and the simplicity of her logo will appeal both to men and to women. And the little, there's little sort of flourish that she has. Obviously, we should be really showing the logo, but you can go onto her website afterwards. just gives the, you know, the stylist flair, the fact that there's there is a flourish. It's not square, it's round, so there's also the feminine aspect of the brand.
Yeah.
And it makes it approachable for both gender.
Yeah, it's when I asked Marianne the first time, what do you think about my logo and the colors of my logo? And she said elegance. Bingo, because this is who I am. I am a forever fan of elegance over fashion, or, you know, I'm that kind of personal stylist. There are different kinds of personal stylists. And also the fact that I chose neutral colors, this is who I am. Whenever I work with a client, I try not to influence them with my own style, with my own personality. So obviously I need to look glamorous and stylish, because this is what people expect from me, and this is who I am, because I love fashion and I love wearing you know, fancy clothes, as you can see, but really when I work with them, I do not influence them in any way. I try not to, obviously. Probably there are other stylists that have a very strong personality, a very strong fashion style, and some people want it. So some people really want to look like them, and so their brand is going to be very different. Maybe we can, do you want to read the question now, or maybe we can answer at the end? Okay.
Yeah, no, we'll do
at
answers, and
okay.
we'll do answers
Yeah.
at questions and answers at the end.
Yeah. So again, my brand, my logo is neutral, black and white, and I also have some touches of sand in my website and in my visual social media like Instagram, which is another neutral color. Marianne has a green brand. Do you have anything to show? I think you were showing me something.
Well, actually, I've got a book that which is it's, but the logo is like this is the brand normally has grey and then green, and this is obviously just a varnish on the Universal Heart book. But
and what is I think from my point of view, green is a very reassuring color. If you just think about when you want to feel relaxed, where do you go? You go to walk in a green park or in a wood. So green is a color that really evokes this feeling of reassurance. And I don't know what are the choices behind your the green in your logo, but maybe you can explain us.
So the choice of green, actually, it's absolutely, you know, green is obviously seen the most in nature, and nature has a really sort of relaxing and what I also call healing effect, which is also why my brand is Hartley Soul, and it's about connecting to the heart. And when we're out in nature, our whole body relaxes, and it's like we can our breathing even slows down, and it's got a very beneficial effect on us. So green relaxes, but it's also there's a whole psychology of colors, and I don't think we'll have time to go into that, but it's an amazing subject. And green also is a color that actually connects or links to the heart. So it's got nature, it's got that calming energy, and also the connecting to the heart. And the grey is quite subtle, so it's, you know, it's professional, and there's the sort of the softness of nature. But green on its own, just green alone, would maybe be a little bit ungrounded. So with the grey, it just creates the foundation, and also sort of the experience that you get through nature. So there's something solid and something soft.
Yeah. And you also love wearing green, like today.
That's true. Yeah, I do. And for those of you who've seen me on other conversations online, yes, I'm often in green, and it is a color I love, and I feel I feel good in green, and it does have an impact on your emotions. So colors, for example, orange is incredibly uplifting. So if you're feeling a little bit low in energy one day, if you wear something bright orange or red, it'll literally give you an energy boost. White is incredibly neutral. It's also very pleasant, you know, when you look at somebody who's wearing something white or pale. Black black is very stylish, but black is really not for everyone, and I used to wear a lot of black, and it's actually not a color that's right for me at all.
Black is also a color that creates a sort of barrier, as far as I know. So for example, it is good if you work in an office and you are the boss, for example, or if you give a speech on stage. But if you want trust, for example, a client's trust, and maybe you want to, I don't know, look approachable or friendly, this is not the right color to wear, because black is not approachable, is not friendly. Unless maybe you find a way to work on it and maybe wear it with something that is giving the right message.
Yeah. So colors, it's an amazing subject that I think would warrant a whole conversation. And I'm actually going to have a conversation with a color psychologist in a few weeks' time.
That is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, another, I think the last reference I want to use for colors is maybe blue, because blue is one of the most classic colors used in business and in work. If you think about a suit for men, most of the time is blue. And also women love to wear blue because it's not black, it's not gray. So blue is a great color, right? Because it evokes calm feeling and trust. So also this is why many people love to wear it. But at the same time, there are many different hues, right, Marianne? So even when we choose a blue for a brand or for our styles, we can either decide to go more classic, for example, for a jacket, like a navy shade of blue, or we can decide to highlight maybe our personality, if we have a strong personality, a bright personality, or even if we have bright colorings, and choose a brighter shade of blue. So don't think about only the classic blue. There are many different options out there.
Yeah, that's right. And with the suit, because you can have a dark blue suit, or you can have quite a light blue suit, and you'll give a completely different message across. And obviously blue and red are quite classical colors in branding, and obviously red really stands out, but it can come across as shouting as well. So it's not for nothing that it's bulls and red rags are sort of associated, because it's such a strong color that of course you're going to stand out, but you need to stand out in a way, again, that's congruent with who you are. So Amazon is quite, that's orange and black, and that's sort of softer. But then we've got Argos, which is actually, for those in the UK, which is very, very strong. You'll see it straight away on the high street. But Virgin, yeah. And actually that's a good example, because Argos is quite in your face, and Virgin is strong, but sort of more elegant and more, lighter in a sense. So, and many banks have got a blue, but Barclays Bank blue is quite a light blue, which is quite a nice soft blue. Or LinkedIn blue is also very soft and not it's not a dark strong color, because some blues can go all the way to nearly being black. And so the message you want to communicate really comes through as well in your choice of colors.
And obviously you don't have to wear, if you choose blue for your logo, you don't have to wear blue every time. No. You don't have to do that. But it's good to know, for example, if you have a very important meeting, or if you have to meet a very important client, maybe you want to look your best and really make the best impression, it's good to have a consciousness about colors. And maybe you want to wear a color that is somehow representing your brand, especially for photo shoots. I helped some people last year to have a photo shoot for their profiles, professional profiles. And of course, we had a look at the brand and the logo as well, because we were thinking in a visual way. So your photo is going to be close to your logo. So everything needs to be harmonic. And in that case, it was really working to have to sort of working around the same colors. But obviously, you don't have to wear blue all the time.
No, I completely agree. And also, obviously, you want to make it really easy for your target clients and for your audience to recognize you. So when there is a consistency between your brand and your personal style, the two will be connected, and in the people's minds, you know, you want to make it really easy that within a split second they know, oh, it's you, and it's not somebody else. But if you were to have several different colors, or using your logo in different colors, you can do that to promote different aspects of your business, but don't mix up the colors for the same when you do the same promotion, because that would be really confusing, and you want to keep it really clear and really clean. So within the split seconds that people have to recognize you, they can actually recognize you because of the consistency of how you're using your logo and the colors as well.
Shall I go on with the third tip?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so let's say my third and final tip today is really about making sure that you give the right message with your professional image. Why am I saying this? I see a very common mistake happening quite often, that everyone who runs a business want to look professional. And the word professional is associated with formal and smart clothes most of the time. But it is important to know that if you are an accountant now, it's okay, or a lawyer, it's okay to look professional in that way, so smart and formal. Always remembering point one, so always trying to highlight your personality in any way. But if you have a creative job, or maybe you are a photographer, or you work behind the camera, or maybe you are a brand consultant or a graphic designer, you don't need to wear formal clothes. But being professional for you means something else. So it is really important to remember this, because once again, it is about clarity and consistency, this time with your personal style. So you need to give the right message, who you are and what to do at first sight. When I connect in some meetings or I meet people and they say, oh, you look so glamorous, bingo, this is what I want them to think about me, because I am a stylist. If I was glamorous, but I was an accountant or a lawyer, maybe, you know, the message was a bit contrasting.
Conflicting.
Yes, conflicting. You need to be very careful. So one thing is your personal life, and one thing is your professional life and your professional image. Very rarely people have the luxury to use the same clothes for both their lives, and most of the time people really need to be careful. So there is there is a personal very important component in your professional image, because you want to authenticity, once again, is what makes you unique. So never forget about who you are, but try to wear clothes that give the right impression. Think that experts say that people have an idea about you in 7 seconds. So the first 7 seconds are crucial for you when you meet someone new. So in that 7 seconds, is not your CV, it's not the way you talk, it's not the way you move, is the way you present yourself that is really having an impact. So it is quite important. Another common mistake that I see is that people try to emulate someone else's style. It is good to take inspiration. So if there's someone that, I don't know, maybe at a very high level that you admire in what they do, you can take inspiration, but try always to personalize your appearance, your look, because once again, you are unique. So find your way to express yourself.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And you mentioned about consistency, and that is really key. I sort of touched upon it already, but the third tip is really about communicating clearly and consistently. So you make it easy for your audience to recognize you. So when you show up consistently with I like using an example, for example, of a Mercedes ad. You know, when they're on these huge billboards on the side of the road, you're driving past, so you've got hardly any time, but you always recognize the ad. You know that it's Mercedes. And why? Because they use their logo exactly in the same area of the poster, exactly at the same size, in the exact same proportions, and within seconds. We don't have to work to know who this advert is from and by. So we get this instant connection. And that's what, obviously we don't all have Mercedes budgets to create branding advertising, but we can learn the sort of key foundations and fundamental rules to really make it easy for our clients to know who we are and to recognize us. And that's also how we stand out in our market. So using your logo consistently, using your fonts, you'll have beautiful fonts that really make up, which are a part of your brand, and the colors and the style of images. And when you use all these things congruently together, you create a really powerful, recognizable brand. And actually, Graham, I think I'm going to weave in your question. So how important is the logo compared to brand colors and style? So your logo is a bit like your fingerprint. It's a bit like, you know, it's sort of super uniquely you. So it's the shape, it's the name, it's probably your business name, it's whether you have just your name without any symbols with it, or you have your name and the letters are, you know, refined, so you make them unique. So that is like the core of your brand. But your brand is made up of not only your colors, your fonts, your images, it's also, you know, it's what people read about you. So it's what you put out as messages out there, but it's also the impressions that people get from you. So there's a completely intangible part of a brand. And actually, on one level, you can't control what people will think of your brand, but you want to put it out there with the right intention, and with the intention of the core message that you want them to receive. And I think it was Jeff Bezos who said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So it's really, your brand is how you leave people feeling when they've interacted with you. How do they feel when they receive an email from you? How do they feel when they see a social media post from you? You know, is it the same language? So you want to make sure everything is consistent. So, you know, if you're very formal when you're writing emails, but you're very sort of informal on social media, there'll be a disconnect and it won't appear like the same person. So you want to make sure that you use your logo religiously. I'm allowed to say it, I think, really religiously. So in the same, you know, same proportions and same colors and the same areas to make it easy for your clients to recognize you. And you want to get whatever you put out there, from newsletters to personal emails to social media, you want it all to have the same feeling and the same intention. So that's really important. It's that you do also through the words that you use, your tone of voice. And again, that comes back to authenticity. The more authentic you are, the easier it is for your brand to support you, because it's there as a tool to really, you know, do your work when you're not there to talk about what you're doing. Does that answer your question?
Do you mind if I just unmute myself for a second there?
Go on.
Yeah, it kind of answers my question. I think the angle I'm coming at is that quite often, from what you're saying about you know, it's the values and the core values and the ethos and everything else. The logo is secondary to that. That's what I'm getting at, because how can you'd have to have those values nailed down before you design your logo. But in my experience, a lot of people concentrate so much on their logo before they actually establish what their actual brand is all about. That's kind of what I was kind of talking about.
Okay, I get it. Well, it's really for a logo and a brand to be successful and to be there as a real support to your business. It needs to hold your values, because otherwise it's just like sticking a label on a bottle without knowing what's inside the bottle.
Yeah, so it's fair to say then that your colors and style as a person and your values should be worked out and concentrated on first before even thinking about what your logo is going to look like.
Yes.
Because otherwise,
so the logo is an expression of that.
Yeah.
And
it's just that in my experience, a lot of people spend hours and hours and hours on their logo before they even actually establish their brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's
because
true.
can
Thanks
I say something?
question.
I'm not the expert, but I've been through there. I think many people, we have a visual way of thinking. So we think that the logo, like a website or an Instagram profile, are the first thing to do, the first steps to move when we open a business. And I think this is a common mistake, because what we should do is to really think about, again, who we are as a brand, what we want to do, what we want to achieve, what is the message that we want to do. And this is also why I think people, brands, companies change their logo so many times over time.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to change your logo. You know, you want to change it or adjust it every 5-10 years, but that's when it's based on your values. Then it's like, you know, because your target clients may change a little bit, or you may want to attract a different audience, and then you tailor it. If the Rolls-Royce logo, if you look at the evolution of the logo, it's not changed that much. You know, the 2 R's interlinking, they've been consistent. Obviously, they've modernized the brand, and they've modernized the letters of the logo, but you can recognize it. So even if you were to see the very first one, you wouldn't go, who is that? You would know it's Rolls-Royce. So obviously, with entrepreneurs, we have fantastic ideas, and then ideas change, and then we have another business idea. So when you have just like the initial idea to something, I used to be a real purist, and I would say only create a brand once you know exactly what you're going to be doing for the next 5-10 years, but that's not always the case. So when you have a product that you do want to test out and you're not sure whether it's going to work or not, put it out there without too much branding and just see if it's got momentum. And then that also informs you of the quality and the values of the product, and then create a beautiful brand that will, you know, support your vision and support this product and support you with the business.
Yeah, I agree, Marianne. And also, if I can add something else, we as a business owner, we want to just go put ourselves out there, you know, and we live maybe in a rush, under the pressure, because we want to move our steps, we want to find clients, and this is why most of the time we do some mistakes, because it is much better to start a bit slowly, but really focus on every aspect and also analyze every aspect carefully. This doesn't mean that we are not going to make any mistake anyway, or that we are not going to change. As Marianne was saying, people might change a bit, might adjust, and this is absolutely normal. But I think the best thing to do before starting or investing money in any website or logo, blah, 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 is to really focus on who we are, the values of our brand, who is your target audience. So every tips that Marianne has given today, I think, is the base and the foundation of every brand.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Think about, it's good to think about a logo. It's absolutely great. Maybe you can do a research, as I was saying before, find inspiration, look online. There are plenty of places where you can have a look, even Pinterest, you know, and try to make a research of what visually attracts you the most. There is still a component of your personality in what attracts you. But then before paying anyone to design your logo, try to really understand what do you want to express. So this is my opinion. I'm not the brand expert, but this is my opinion.
No, but it's a good tip. So actually, there's another question.
Yeah.
Is it hard to create and follow up on consistency of the brand? Is there any tip to help a company to achieve and ease this fundamental task? Yeah, it is. The consistency is key, and it's true. It is a challenge for most companies, especially when it's a larger one. So this is when, you know, you create brand guidelines, and you have, you can even have a brand guardian. Obviously, if you're a sole business trader, you don't need that. But with a company, you actually want one person or a team that looks after all your branding. So the consistency can be rolled out, because everyone loves to play with colors and think, oh, actually, it'd be nice to put the logo in the middle today, but usually we have it in the bottom right. And so they're the things you that really confuse your clients. If suddenly, you know, they go, have they changed the brand? What's going on? So brand guidelines, which give you, and templates, you know, creating clarity on where and how to use the colors, where to use the logo, and what size. And it is, that's where the sort of religious consistency comes in, because it is like, when you apply it rigorously like this, you really help your target audience to recognize you. So yeah, creating brand guidelines for the consistency, and and templates. So create templates that when you have several people that need to implement the brand, especially also if it's an international company, that can become even more complex, because you'll have different people in different locations using the brand. So to make it very accessible, creating good templates that they can modify and use their own language in, for example, and having a central team of designers, or, you know, a brand guardian, that you could even have people creating things and then being checked. It depends on the size of your organization and the team, but the basics would be a good set of brand guidelines and some templates. I hope that answers your question, Marianne.
Yeah, definitely answered. So basically, I can see a sort of nursery of the brand. So make sure that is fed well and is compliant in a way with the rules that the mother's giving out.
I've never thought of it in this way, but it's true. There is something about really taking care of it and making sure that it's applied in the right way.
Okay, thank you very much, Marianne.
Pleasure.
Do you have any other question? No?
Me? Yeah.
No, everyone. But if you have another question, go.
I don't know.
You go.
Can I talk? Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Well, basically, the fact that the consistency, of course, of the brand with the style, especially for the business owners, to be consistent again, to go out there. But of course, there is, as you said before, the personal element that is, of course, again, an element that is very influential. Sometimes with a key client, for example, but eventually is standing out of your personality more. I can't say more than a brand, but basically more businesses sometimes is coming out more the personality of the business owners that's the brand of the company itself. So that is a tricky one, because we are actually in the middle of a new start for the business in terms of after 10 years, we are now looking into different target markets, and definitely who has been running the business is someone that is very powerful, blah, blah, blah. Now we are going to get to the next level. So we want to shadow a little bit the principle and trying to create the brand for the business self. So because there's been so far associated the brand with the principle, now for us is a big challenge. So how we're going to swift and ease this process is very tough. So if you have any suggestion or any tip, happy to hear.
Thanks. So is the principal staying in the company, or is the principal going?
Okay, staying for a while, and then we want to check him out. No, I'm joking, but no, the plan is basically is staying because it's reassuring the client, and slowly is because we're going to get to the next generation of the firm, so we want to reassure the client that is still there, but that's why it's attracting the clients. But we want now to disassociate the brand from the principle.
Okay, so I mean, if the principle still remains as part of the business and the brand, I definitely get him or her involved in this rebrand, because it's like, if somebody's not on board at the top level, it's going to be very, very difficult for the rest to, and you do need that clear vision. Again, define that vision, where you're going, who do you actually want to work with, who your target audience is. Really define that, your next 5-10 year vision. And from that, you then create the brand values and design. You can also assess, what you've currently got. Would it do the job that you want your brand to do for the next 5-10 years? And if the answer is no, you sort of go, okay, so you can see what's working, what's not. I did a rebrand for an IP law firm, and they'd been successful, and but they'd got to a point where they weren't attracting their new ideal target audience. And we did a rebrand, and within a year their turnover doubled, but they were like very clear on who they wanted to connect with. And so I think it really, defining the vision is the core thing, and then the rest can fall into place. So
okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else has a question. No? Okay. So I think we have done here. Marianne, are we going to send a follow-up email tomorrow with our contact details? So if anyone wants to get in touch with us privately, maybe ask for a consultation, you can do that. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed our meeting and our tips, and hope we can help you thrive in the future with your brand and with your business.
Yeah,
thanks.
Sure. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.